Quick announcement everybody, before jumping in with the video, our March giveaway for a game of your choice is up and running, and you can take part in it by following the links in the description down below. Once you're on the website, register with your email address and choose the game you want from the list of games over there, and at the end of the giveaway I'm going to announce the winners over here as well as via the email address provided. As always, huge shout out to Instant Gaming for helping me with these giveaways. Hey, what's up guys, Crazy here, back in No Man's Sky, and today I want to discuss a rather important topic when it comes to the overall balance of this game. In this case, I specifically am going to talk about the economy of No Man's Sky, especially since I recently got a bunch of comments about the economy and the fact that many of you have expressed a frustration towards the fact that you could make a lot of money in this game, but there was nothing to spend all of that on, especially after reaching a certain point in the end game. So that is why in this video I kind of want to dive right in with all of the problems as well as some of the solutions that might help No Man's Sky overall and also make a lot of sense gameplay wise. Now let's go over some of the problems that exist in terms of the economy. First of all, there is, a huge amount of ways to actually earn money in this game, from both early on, in the middle of the game, as well as in the end game. There is a lot of ways to accumulate a lot of wealth. Now, the problem with all of these money-making methods, from my point of view, is kinda twofold. On one side, once you reach a certain point in the game, when you got like 6 ships, multi-tools, a supermassive freighter, a huge base and whatnot, and got all of the upgrades necessary, you reach this point of saturation where even though you can accumulate a ton of wealth, still there's not much to spend it on, which kinda acts like a deterrent for you to come in the game again and play for longer. This is like one of the main reasons why so many people drop off the game after reaching a certain point in it and getting most of the stuff that they would need in order to just play it in general. The second problem is the fact that many of these money making methods don't involve any risk, or at the very least, if they do involve any risk, it's disproportionately smaller than the amount of rewards that you're actually getting. So just hear me on this one because it will make sense as we progress through this video. Now in this video I kind of want to focus on this subject from the perspective of a trader on one side and on the other side from the perspective of mineral extraction, since both of these are very powerful methods at generating wealth for a very low amount of risk that is involved, and there are a few possible solutions that most developers are inclined to take when it comes to their users generating too much wealth too fast for their own good. The first and the most straightforward method is simply lowering the rewards or nerfing them. This is generally speaking a method that is heavily frowned upon by most players out there and something that tends to deter people from playing the game again. Just imagine that you're enjoying the game in a certain way, like in this case there's many people out there who just enjoy the economy aspect of certain games, and then one day you wake up not being able to enjoy the game the same way you did in the past, and you're not getting the same amount of satisfaction as you did in the past because of these nerfs. In this case you would be very tempted to even drop off the game entirely and not play it at all, which again just proves that this method isn't really a good solution long term. The second method, also very similar to the previous nerf, is instilling caps, as in limiting the amount of resources a player or a number of players would get over a certain amount of time, like over an hour, a day, a week, a month, and so on and so forth. Even in this case, this would be a temporary solution, and at best it would just add a layer of frustration to the existing players who are enjoying the game in a certain way, in this case making money. So now the obvious question is, how can we possibly make this more balanced as well as more engaging? And you would be surprised that these answers already exist within the game, and these solutions have been applied to other features that have already been added in the game a long time ago. And in this case I kind of want to focus on the addition of risks as a way of managing the amount of resource generation, but there is another one that I'm going to talk about later in this video. First, let's talk about the addition of risk when it comes to generating money. Let's go with the extraction facility, which by the way costs costs very little to invest into. You just have to buy the technologies, and it costs very low to actually go in and create a mega facility. I'm gonna run the numbers in just a little bit, but this is why I said that risk already exists for other features. For example, you're sending in a fleet into an expedition, and there's a high chance for many of your frigates to actually get damaged, which in turn requires for you to repair them once they get home if you want them to operate at the same level. The second one is the fact that, well, for example, in the case of storm crystals, you can't just really pick them up without actually risk dying in the storm that is causing them to appear in the first place. So this is the exact type of risk that Hello Games should add for extraction facilities too. Let's take for example this mega facility that I have right here. The cost in this case, from my calculations, is less than 1% of the amount of profit that I'm getting in one single day. So there's definitely a balance issue over here that needs to be looked, which is why the risks I was talking about come into play. And there's a few types of risks that Hello Games could add, again citing the examples of the storm crystals from earlier as well as the frigate damage that require upkeep, but there's also another one that I would like to add, which is resource depletion. So let's go over this extraction facility. First of all, it makes absolutely no sense that I was able to set it in this harsh environment that absolutely shreds my character but deals no damage to the overall facility. So a feature Hello Games could add is for something to cause damage to all of these extractors and cause them to malfunction or even stop entirely. Like for example, pipelines could get clogged or damaged by the wind. The same could be said about extractors. They could also start malfunctioning for various reasons, from environmental damage and whatnot. And here is where the second part of it comes into play, which is the cost of upkeep. Now, upkeeping these should have a cost, most definitely, either a flat out sum paid regularly, like per hour, daily or weekly, to somebody to actually repair this and take care of it, or second of all, just the cost in materials, like how it is with the frigate that you also get to repair in space. In this case, it would be something similar to that, as in go in and repair them using, for example, metal plates or cobalt or other metals to repair all of these damaged pipelines as well as extractors, and that would both fix the issue of not being balanced enough, of issue of not being risky enough, as well as keeping players a bit more engaged. The second one would be just adding resource depletion, which currently for these types of deposits doesn't really exist. Again, it makes no sense for you to find an infinite resource and exploit it indefinitely without actually having a limit to it. So in this case, Hello Games should definitely add a limit to that. The same could be said about the trading routes, and these also suffer from the same lack of risk I was talking about. Even though you do get attacked by pirates once they detect, something valuable in your inventory, it kind of tends to happen only once per route, so the game should definitely have some mechanics in it to detect when you're actually doing exclusive, just trading, so that it throws more danger for you on the way over there. Like for example, what if you had to refuel and somebody steals your inventory? What if, for example, you crashed your ship and had to get back all of those resources? Or what if you simply lost some of those resources, especially if you tend to fill your inventory? That makes sense. You don't really have the best ship out there. Your ship isn't supposed to carry something so easily without ever breaking down. Now, this is something that is still debatable, but the next portion of it definitely is something that can be fixed in even one patch, which is the abuse that exists in the game for quite some time, which is crashing the market. Now, this is a smart move, don't get me wrong, it's something that exists in the real world as well, but it exists with consequences. You can't really go in and indefinitely crash markets, sell stuff very expensive, and then rebuy the exact same items for pretty much dirt cheap. That's not how real world, works. It's not like in the real world you can go at some random person, sell him like 10 stamps for a certain price at a very high price, and then rebuy the same stamps from the same person for much lower. That's not what's going to happen. He's going to sell all of that back to you, maybe at the same price or whatever, or maybe he's not going to sell them back to you at all. This is something that the game should take into account, and these trading routes should be more interconnected as a result and avoid this specific situation. Anyway, the last and the final change would be adding a proper money sink in this game, because past the initial, ships and freighters that you get, there's not really much of a money sink to speak of, yet you're still generating a ton of money. So in this case, Hello Games has an almost infinite resource of actually, causing players to spend their money, which is through that ship customization I was talking about so many times in the past. Like, just thinking how one single type of ship can have so many model variations, like so many types of wings, of flaps, of engine parts, of fronts, colors and decals and whatnot. What if all of these were money sinks that you could actively spend your money upon and change your favorite ship to look exactly like you want it to look like, and that would all be done through a shop that again requires you to spend all of that money on. So this would both balance the economy, would satisfy players, and it would bring more gameplay to No Man's Sky in general. Again, I'm not saying that Hello Games should go in and just begin with the nerfs. I think that this all should be done within a patch that contains all of these measures so that it truly feels balanced and nobody has to suffer out of it. So yeah, this is it for now. This has been something that I kind of wanted to get off my mind, but let me know down below what's your opinion of all of this, and even better, what other possible solutions do you have in mind, as well as what other areas of the game did you find unbalanced from an economy point of view. Post your comment down below, and in the meantime also don't forget to subscribe and activate that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time.